All right, guys, welcome back, and family, AM family at that. This morning, we are really honored to welcome someone whose work is all about heart, it's all about purpose, and creating possibility. Wendy Phaff-Gennaro is with us from the Queens Center for Progress, and it's an organization that for decades has been dedicated to empowering individuals with developmental disabilities. So Wendy's work at QCP surrounds one mission: promoting independence, dignity, and community for people of all abilities. Wendy is truly a champion of that mission, and she is here with us today to talk about the incredible work QCP is doing in Queens and beyond, and also the importance of inclusion and how we can all play a role in uplifting our neighbors. So please join us in giving a warm AM show welcome to Wendy Phaff-Gennaro. Let's go.
Welcome.
Morning. Good morning. Wow, that was quite an introduction. I don't have to say a word. You did such a great job.
Thank you.
And I did not get the memo. Otherwise, I would be wearing denim. So
Oh, man. I thought we sent it to your email. Oh, that's on us.
No, I went scurrying around to see if anyone had a free jacket. But
I love it. Well, you're definitely deserving of a good intro.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. You guys are, just sitting here waiting to come on and just feeling the energy is amazing.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Well, we are very excited to have you here to talk about you, your background, your involvement with QCP. And what we always like to do is we like to give our viewers an idea of early beginnings. How do you even get involved in a role like this? How do you find yourself here with us? Tell us about it.
Wow. Okay. So I've got a lot of years behind me. I'll try to be brief. I didn't start out in this field in nonprofits. I started out in the entertainment business. Prior to that, I've had a lot of incarnations throughout the years. But there's always been something inside me, and I grew up in a household with a father who I referred to as a philanthropist, except we didn't have enough money to give away, but he was very good at getting other people to donate money to causes. So I had a great role model on how to raise money. But it took me a while to kind of come around to this field, and so I kind of had a lot of different things that I did. I was always happy to write a check or donate money to things. But, one year I got a postcard in the mail saying, you can run a marathon and raise money. Ironically, you had mentioned the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So they have a training program that trains people for endurance races. And I got involved in that. And I always joke around that, I started running to raise money, hated the running, but loved raising money. So as my career in the music business and started winding down, I found myself really gravitating towards nonprofits and helping make a difference for other people any way I could. And I was very fortunate to start working at QCP. It's been 15 years. And I've just, I came in, I had already been raising money, but I hadn't worked in the field. So I really got to learn how things work. But mostly, coming into a organization that provides these types of services was very little intimidating at first, because if you're not used to being around a population of people with disabilities, which I was not, you don't know what to expect. So I always tell people, the day I came for my interview, I walked into a lobby in our main building that was bustling with activity. And everybody was happy and, had places to go and, were very friendly. And, one gentleman came up to me and said, "Hey, what's your name? I'm Tommy. What's your name?" One of our individuals. And to this day, every time I see him, he's like, "Hi, Wendy." And never forgot my name. Just like a really happy place. And I felt very comfortable right away and just, was just lucky to land here and to be here this long and to enjoy, really being able to do things that, make a difference for people, and to, come to work every day is just an honor, really.
Yeah, I mean, I can hear your energy and your passion for the job, even all these years later, 15 years on the job, and you're still smiling ear to ear while talking about it. I think that says something about the organization and the people that you're working with. And now that we have a little bit of your backstory and how you got into your role, can you just kind of explain to us a little bit about what exactly the QCP is for anybody who hasn't heard about it? So what is your mission? What do you guys do there? And how long have you guys been around for?
So we're just kind of at the end of our 75th anniversary year. We were started, we were started in 1950 by a group of parents who had children with cerebral palsy. And just a quick story, the overview is, we empower people to live their best lives by providing supports and services for them to achieve as much independence as they can, which is different for everybody. Our individuals have a range of abilities and needs. So we cater and we're very person-centered. So every person who we provide services to, we have goals. We really focus on their abilities and helping them to achieve whatever they want, whatever their goals are. And they lead us. We don't tell them. Everyone wants to live a good life and have what everybody wants: happiness, a job, a place to live, friends, a social life, all of that. But getting back to our beginning, I love telling this story because our founder, who passed away 2 years ago at the age of 103 years old, remained on our board until she was 100. And she, was just somebody in the community, did not have a child with any special needs or anything, but was part of a women's group who really wanted to help out in the community. And across the street from our building where we are now is Queens Hospital. And it was there then. And she walked in and she said, I have some people in the community who want to help you guys. What do you need? And the nurse said, come with me. And she took her to a room, opened the door, and there was children in there in wheelchairs and, varying disabilities. And she said, these kids have cerebral palsy and we don't know what to do with them. So from that moment on, she raised the money, broke our first, got our children's center started in 1950. I guess 1950 it was housed in a small house. And then in 54, the building was built for the children's center and eventually for our adult center, because those kids grow up, and the adults need services too. So I would say the majority of our services are for adults. We still have our children's center, which is where it all started. And it's just grown from there. But, she was a force, our founder, a real force to be reckoned with. And, really did the borough a service by starting this agency.
And clearly she cared about what she was doing. Up until 100 was working there. Well, we're so sorry for your loss, but her work clearly is living on for decades and hopefully some more centuries to come.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And she would zoom in for the meetings. She was hysterical. She's like, figures, it's like she figured out how to use Zoom. So I'm like, Natalie could do it. Anyone could do it.
There you go.
So our services, as I mentioned, we had our children's center, which services 3 to 5 year olds. It's a preschool, for children who have any type of developmental delays. We give them all sorts of support services: physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, with a goal to get them ready so that when they're 5 years old and it's time for kindergarten, they're ready to matriculate into general public schools, and to, be able to attend school. A great success story for us is a child who comes in who can barely walk or hold their head up. And by the time they leave here, their skills are just, they're able to walk, they're able to, to carry themselves and, communicate, whereas maybe before they weren't. So that's like a really, I always say they do magic over there. They do amazing work, and really, so many happy families and great outcomes come out of our children's center. And then our adult programs as well is just, people want to work in the community. So we have a supported employment program that employs them in the community with jobs all over the borough. Pre-vocational, really something for everybody to achieve their dreams and their goals.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. You know, Wendy, I can only imagine how many instances that you have that are memorable, that are tied to the work that you and your organization do within the community. I mean, I'm so curious. Do you have one that maybe sticks out that you can remember? I know there's probably a ton, but do you have maybe one that sticks out above others that you can share with us about how, you know, your work has impacted maybe a child as they've gone through adulthood, and how you've allowed them to grow and go from season to season?
So yeah, a lot of we have different programs that we do that are, not just like educational, and well, everything we do, there's a purpose in it, and you know uh, a reason. So like we have a running program. Our running program builds confidence, strength, is healthy, gets everyone out there. We have a partnership with St. John's University, which is just down the road from us, with their women's track and field team. So our guys meet there, for 8 weeks in the fall. They do a program on the track at St. John's. And some of the adults in our program here started in our children's center. So you really see how they were able to get through school and then come into our program, because a lot of the individuals will, graduate from the children's center. They'll get through public school. Graduation for them is at 21. So they're in high school a little later to give them more time to, develop skills, and then they'll come into our programs. So I'm trying to find one person who has come through that. And I guess, there's a gentleman who went into the public schools, and I have an acquaintance who is a PT person in the public schools, and she had him as a student for many years. So it's great to see like that whole kind of continuum of care, where he like started here, went to public school, did really well, and now he's flourishing in our programs. And we build confidence, we help with the skills that all of us take for granted, like getting on a bus. Well, I still need help taking buses around New York City, but our guys are really good at it. But just like, even like, things, how to handle money, like, what do you do when you walk into a store? How do you relate to people? Just these like simple things that we take for granted because we're taught at a younger age, and we grasp it younger, when we're younger. These guys are still learning, and it's just amazing to see them, just they're all happy. It's like you walk around and everyone thinks, oh, some people feel pity, or they see somebody that has a disability like this. And even when I first started, I'd see people, and like, it tugs at your heartstrings, and you're like, wow. And then you realize that, yes, they're just like us, and, but they are really happy people. So it is amazing. Another thing that we started this year is a theater program. Oh. So we partnered. Yeah, that was like, you talk about the joy you see in people when they're performing on stage, and the confidence and the camaraderie among the cast and the individuals in, that were performing. There was about 25 or 30 people who actually performed. And then you've got like another, it was 100 people all over involved in putting this show together. And it was like a professionally staged Broadway show. It was amazing. We worked with a group called AHA Broadway that specializes in theater programs in schools. And we were really fortunate to work with them. And we did Willy Wonka, and it was the most, we had two performances in one day, and that was the most amazing experience for the individuals. We had more than 400 people come see the shows over 2 shows.
Whoa.
Yeah. Sellout crowd, and, we sold concessions, and we had T-shirts, and we did everything, we had an official playbill, right? And after each show, they would sign the playbills. It was absolutely amazing to watch. We can't wait till next year. So we'll make sure we invite you to next year's show.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we want tickets, please. That sounds incredible.
It's an experience. We had a gentleman who came to review the show, right? Not just to like do a story on the program, but we did get a lot of attention for the program. And he walked in, and I greeted him, and we talked for a little bit before the show. And when the show was over, I saw him, standing in the aisles, talking to some other people. And I walked over, and he couldn't talk. He was just like, he was so moved and so like impressed by what he saw and the whole energy of the show and everything. And it was just, it was something.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is that you're building the confidence in everybody. And just because maybe it's going to take you a little bit longer than the other person to learn something doesn't mean you can't do it. So how important is that word of saying, yes, we can? No is not in our vocabulary, that yes, we can do it. How important is that kind of motto for you guys when you're working with any of your clients?
You're 100% correct. There's no such thing as no. Anything that, again, that these guys want to achieve and do, we're here to make that happen. And, they're talented. There's so much talent among them, and, they can do anything.
Yeah, that's so true. And just kind of along those lines, like, what is one of the biggest misconceptions that you're trying to kind of change the opinion, especially when you go out into the communities, of how you want to change the community's perception of folks with disabilities at a variety of ages? How do you guys strive to kind of change that messaging?
They're just like us. We did a campaign a few years ago, and it was called Just Like Us, because that's, we're all human. We all have the same needs and wants. And that's, just people are a little bit different in many ways. It's not just with disabilities. We're all different. And, being accepting and being understanding, a lot of, I think there was a time where I was out one day, and it wasn't our individuals, but there was, sometimes there's behaviors, and there was a little incident in a store, and some people just don't understand that. So it's really important for people to understand, we're all different, we all have emotions and feelings, but learning to accept it and to be patient and to understand that is another thing. But, we have guys who are working all over the community. So it's nice, it's so important to be a presence in the community, so that when you walk into a lot of our guys work in big box stores. When you walk into those stores, you see the individuals working there, and they can help you, they can greet you, they can do everything everyone else can. So it's just great to be able to, show that side of people with disabilities.
Wow.
Beautiful.
That's fantastic. And specifically, you're located in Queens. Can you speak about what stands out about Queens that you feel that the need in Queens outside of any other area?
Yeah, so we are very Queen-centric. We only we only operate programs in Queens. So our guys live in Queens, and it's just always been that way. Queens, as you know, is the larger borough with the most diversity and the most languages, and QCP represents all of that. So we have people from every culture. We're just totally culturally diverse and representative of what Queens is about. And we love that. And we really love that. And that is why, I'm not saying anything. It says Brooklyn, New York studio on this other screen here. So.
See, that was a trick question Z posed to you.
So, and the truth is, QCP, like, we've been around 75 years. We have a great reputation. We are so well run, and so, have always flown level, because we have a great board and a great executive director in Terry Ross, and, and a great reputation for our programs. And that's really what has, carried us through all these years. Yeah. The field in itself, we're not the only ones out here, because there is such a need for these services. Mm-hmm. And, it's really important in all 5 boroughs, that people, are supportive of people with developmental disabilities. But we do love being in Queens, and, really appreciate, the diverse population that we have, and everybody embraces each other here too, which is great.
Yeah, no, I think it's beautiful. And I think because you guys have such a massive staff, and you're working with so many folks, and you are just centered on one bureau, it just shows the need and how great it is, and how, yes, there should be multiple QCPs or something like it around the entire world, in every city, in every bureau that's around there, because it's definitely needed. So I think it's so beautiful what you guys are doing up in Queens. And I have so many more questions for you, and I definitely want to get deeper into the organization and some other programs that you guys offer. But quickly, please stay with us. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to keep chatting all things QPC. All right? All right, great. We will be right back, guys, with more with Wendy. Don't go anywhere. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back into the AM show. We are still joined by the talented Wendy Phaff-Gennaro. Welcome back into the show, Wendy. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm going to hang around you guys more often.
Hey, especially in the mornings, we'll get you pumped up and energized, not to worry. But honestly, just chatting with you the first part of our interview, it's inspiring us, and it's getting us even more energized, because what you're doing up there in Queens is really quite something. And I know we've talked a little bit about the history of the organization, but I kind of want to get into your role more specifically. So as the Director of Development, what does a day-to-day look like for you? If you can kind of break that down for us.
Sure. So first I want to say, and I tell everybody this and they look at me like I'm crazy, I have the easiest job in this agency, in this organization, right? I get to network, I get to throw big parties and events, and I get to ask people for money. And that's where they say, yeah, no, thank you. You can keep your money. You know, but the real heroes and the real, the people who work are hands-on with our individuals, they're the ones that have, I don't want to say it's a tough job, but they're the ones who are really doing God's work. You know, they're the ones that are, helping these people to achieve their goals. And then, I do what I can to support them. That's my job. Mm-hmm. So day to day can be very different. Every day you never know what's going to, happen or what's going to walk through the doors in terms of like opportunities and just things that we can do. We have a department of 4. There's 3. I have a team of 3 that work with me who are an amazing, amazing group of people. We basically, most of our fundraising. So, as Director of Development, my department is in charge of fundraising and making sure that we have the resources we need to do the work that we do, and not just do the work that we do. Like we, not everyone knows this, but in this field, the majority of the revenue comes from federal and state funding in terms of Medicaid, which our individuals are all part of. And that's how we, that's where the revenue comes from. We are a fee-for-service organization. We provide a service and we get paid for it, right? So that's great, but it's not like a business where we could say, you know what, oh gosh, inflation, costs are going up, we need to raise our prices. We can't do that because we don't set those prices. So very often there is a huge gap in between what we are paid to do our job and what it actually costs to do our job. So that's where my department comes in, helping to close that gap, helping to raise money so that we can do and go above and beyond just what we are paid to do, in terms of the programs, like I mentioned, our running program, our theater program, we have Zumba classes, partnerships with the library, all sorts of things. So that's what we do. So what I love about what I do, and you mentioned I can still smile all these years later, it never gets old. This job never gets old. It is always inspiring to work with the individuals. I'm thankful that I have a relationship with, the staff and the other directors and the individuals that are here, so that I know them and I see them and I can, I'm not just sitting in an office. I get to know everyone. And the same thing, like we achieve this by creating partnerships in the community and doing outreach. And, I really try to expand our network of who's involved with the organization. So every day is different. Like one day I walked in and I got an email to invite me on this show. So that was very exciting. but really that's what we focus on. And we do it through a lot of our fundraising is through events. So last week, and, I was very distracted, running up to this because we had a huge golf outing last week. And it is so labor intensive because it's really big. We have hundreds and hundreds of golfers that come. And we do it over 2 days. So, and it's our largest fundraiser, and really is a game changer for us, and like raises enough money to plug a lot of those holes in and pay for some of those extra, added value programs that we like to have. So, just touching on our events, we have a golf outing. I don't know if we have any Disney fans out there, but we have, we're participating. Well, are you runners too? You don't have to run, you can walk. We're doing the Walt Disney World weekend, marathon weekend in January. So so far we have about 30 people signed up who are raising money for QCP, and will participate in a 5K, 10K, half marathon, or full marathon. Wow. Some are crazy to do all 4 across 4 days. I'm not that crazy. I only signed up for the half. So definitely, if anybody wants to come help out QCP, raise a few dollars, and have a great time in Disney, you can go to our website to get some more information. That's queencp.org. So that's like a really fun event coming up. We have a team doing the New York City Marathon. We do a 5K walk every year. We also have another great event that people love to come to, is a food tasting that we've been doing for 30 years. I believe this will be our 30th year, which is amazing, because I don't think there's a food tasting that's been running as long as our food tasting here in Queens.
Wow, you got Z with that one. He's our resident foodie here, so.
Oh boy, yeah. Z, let me tell you, we had 50 vendors last year, restaurants, beverage companies, and there's everybody who doesn't love to eat, really. Oh, so. Yeah, and we do it at Terrace on the Park, so you get the sweeping views of all of New York City from there, and it's just a gorgeous, really great community building event too. Like, a lot of people, especially in the business community in Queens, come out for that event. Well, everybody, we get about 600 people that come to this event. Wow. And and another, a lot of work goes into it. Thank God for the team we have here. But it's just lots of fun. So I'll make sure you guys know about that too. Yeah. There's a lot. So we do a lot of fun events, and we really, and just a lot of sponsorships through our events, and that's how we raise money, doing it that way. And just also with the marathon team, so that ties into our internal, what we call Team QCP. Our individuals have their own Team QCP where they do these workouts and, run, and then they participate in the 5K. So there's like a goal at the end of the workouts and something to strive for. So it's a lot of fun. So every day is different. Every day brings different blessings and fun things. So, that's what keeps it fresh.
I love how unique all of those ideas are. It's just something different every time, and you can get enjoyment out of it while you're also fundraising. So bravo to you guys for that.
Yeah. Thank you. And you spoke about Team QCP. I'm interested in actually what that looks like. So are you saying Team QCP, you have the individuals in your program that are paired with other interested parties, and kind of like you integrate both sides? What does that look like?
So I call it our internal team, the team of individuals who work out at St. John's. So the girls at St. John's work out with our team. So they kind of, run with them, train them, and work side by side with them. And then our runners who raise money for us is those are people that sign on to run marathons and raise money for us. And that's a little bit different, but we try to bring them together. It doesn't always work because they're not always local, some of our runners, but the money that we raise helps promote the program and, the running program here. So it's a lot of fun, and, everything builds confidence. It's healthy. It's good for you. Getting people moving is really important, especially as they age, in this population, because sometimes there are, underlying health issues that need to be, really monitored. Mm-hmm. So, we're happy to get them out there, moving and exercising. It's great.
Yeah. And what's the average age range that you cover? Is it unlimited? Anyone kind of from as young as possible all the way through? What does it look like?
So the children's center is 3 to 5 year olds, and then our adult programs start at the age of 21. So, and that can go 21 to, our oldest person, we have residential program, which is 9 houses throughout Queens, 78 individuals that live in those homes, in those group homes. And one guy just turned 99.
What?
And he's still playing piano. He still plays piano, and he's amazing. So really all ages. It's hard, especially, with our group homes, right? So we have all the individuals who live there, some of whom have been there since since we opened them 40 years ago. It's very hard for families to let go and to find a good placement for their loved ones as they get older. And some of our individuals, obviously, as they get older, we become their family. Their parents pass away, and they're just their family is with QCP, and they're treated like family. Each home is like a family unit, really. The guys are all very tight and very great friends. So it's important to be able to provide that service and to give families peace of mind knowing that their loved ones are in a good place.
Yeah, and that they're taken care of. It all becomes one kind of extended family, which I love. But just speaking of families, quick, with the programs that you offer, how important is it for families to kind of be involved with their loved ones who are a part of the program? How do they work kind of hand in hand with the services that you guys offer?
Everybody needs support, so to be able to support not just the individual, but the family is important. This is a lifelong situation for these families. It's not like a disease that's curable or that will change throughout their lives. Depending on what the diagnosis is, it can get worse. It can get physically more intense. People can need more may need more hands-on help as they get older. So the families are content and happy that they have a place where they can send their loved ones, where they know they're getting great care, where they're treated kindly, and where they are, where Queen Centers for Progress, they're progressing. They're always learning new skills, or certainly maintaining as they get older. Our senior program, this is kind of sad, I know, because we consider a senior citizen in this population 45 and older. Wow. But so I'm well beyond that, but but that, the importance is not to let the skills slide, to keep them sharp, to keep them engaged, to keep them in the community, and to really make sure that they that they have those skills and that they maintain their independence.
Wow. That's amazing. And now, Wendy, I have a question, because you are so passionate and there are so many things that you are involved in. We always joke with Nadine, but we say that people who have multiple talents, I call them a Swiss Army knife, right? Because they can do so many things. But I'm curious to know, as you are bringing people aboard to work with you, part of your team, what are some of the characteristics that someone would need to have if they are to work within QCP, work on your team, work with the individuals that you work with?
So, yeah, thanks. To work with the individuals, you have to have compassion. You have to have patience, understanding of the people that you're working with, and just love to be in the community and around people. I think that's a lot of it, and you want people around the individuals who are going to lift them up, right? I mean, that's what you ultimately is important. And our staff is amazing. They do that every day, especially in the residential program, but, throughout the agency. Actually, I think was it last week or this week? But I think this week is DSP week, Direct Support Professional week. That is the majority of the positions in QCP that we fill, because they're all hands-on working with the individuals. And we love when people bring their talent and skills to the job as well. So if you have a special interest or somebody likes to do something or a hobby, to bring that into the programs is a great, benefit to having people work with the individuals.
Yeah.
For me, my team, you just got to love what you do. you gotta love fundraising. It's a unique job, not for everyone, but but it's so rewarding. It is so rewarding.
Yeah, well, no, definitely. You have to be creative, come up with those concepts, love to event plan. So you guys are doing a lot. So good for you for doing that. Now, I just want to know, you've told us everything you guys have been doing. We know what's coming up in January, but where do you hope that just QCP overall is in the next 5-10 years? Are there any types of goals that you guys are trying to strive towards, and how are you actively trying to achieve that now?
So we have, I would say the success, our success in surviving, because we really are like subject to the vagaries of government funding, and we just like the things are just not always in our control because of the way the funding works. It was 10 years between an increase in those rates that I mentioned earlier when I started here, from until 10 years later, we had not been given any rate increases and couldn't pay our staff more, and really had our hands tied. So that is hard. That is a hard thing to deal with. So we're always kind of at the mercy of the governor, what the state does. And I would say that our success is not overextending. We've been the size we are. We're not like out there building new homes or adding new, more, infrastructure anywhere to like increase, because we do what we do and we do it really well, and we maintain it. So our goal, and especially in today's climate with all the fears of the cuts that are, impending cuts that are down the road, being able to survive and to fly level and to continue doing what we do is a goal in and of itself. But really just to continue, doing what we do, and making sure that everyone is taken care of. And we, like right now, we have 425 roughly staff at QCP.
Wow.
And and we provide services to about 1,200 people throughout the year, some daily, some come into our clinic with clinic services. So if somebody has a loved one who needs evaluations, psych evaluations, or something to get into a program, or to be able to navigate OPWDD, which is the regulatory state agency that oversees this field. So we provide those services as well. So between all of our day programs, our children's programs, our residential, it's about 1,200 people a year. And so again, getting back to our goals, it's just a lot of people are not having an easy time right now in this field. They're suffering. They are much larger than us, a lot of them. So it's even harder to maintain, to kind of, keep things going. The bigger you are, the more you have to worry about. So I think, we're flying level, we're doing great, and we'll be here. And that's, surviving in this climate is half the battle.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, honestly, Wendy, everything that you represent, who you are, and your work with QCP, I think one of the things that me and Nadine both love is how you continue to encourage. And we want to just thank you for your continued work within the community, how you pour into others, your initiatives, all of the creative events. You have to get us some tickets, the next play that you guys have going on.
Or food.
Yes. Oh, food. Yes, food. Let us know. Let us know.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. we want to continue to be a part of anything that's uplifting the community and encouragement at that level. We absolutely love. And we love that you came and joined with us and shared your story, shared all your involvement with QCP. And we cannot thank you enough for spending some time with us.
Thank you guys for having me. It's been a pure joy to be with you. And thank you for all you guys do and bringing voices to the community.
Yeah, well, we'll be following you guys, seeing what you're up to. I'll dust off my running shoes. Maybe I can make something work in January. We'll see how the back's doing, right?
Okay. Hey, you don't have to run. You can walk.
Okay, there it is. All right, well, thank you so much, Wendy. And guys, if you're interested in learning more, we have socials and website linked right below here so you guys can get in touch with Wendy. We promised that'd be a great interview and you'd learn stuff, and I think we delivered there. Z, I think we did. But guys, hang tight. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we have more of the show, so don't go anywhere.